What's up, gang? I'm Pool Noodle, and if you like frost builds, you're gonna love this one. This is the Blizzard Sorc, and contrary to the existence of the Ball Lightning build, this is still entirely viable. It's strong in some scenarios, and it's weak in others, but without further ado,
let's get to the action!
So starting out, you need to get the glacial aspect, which gives you ice spikes underneath your blizzards. This is not one that you can get from dungeons, and neither is the next one, which is frozen tundra. Now, frozen tundra kind of does the same thing, but another modifier that it has is that it increases the radius of those ice spikes. So these kind of go hand in hand. If you try to run glacial without frozen tundra, it's kind of bad. I don't really like it that much, so I wouldn't recommend it for anybody out there. So it's in your best bet to farm with either ball lightning, firewall, chain lightning, or any of the others until you can get your hands on both glacial and frozen tundra. Now, the rest of the offensive aspects that you want to use are Conceited, which gives you damage whenever you have a barrier active, Control, which gives you more damage to frozen or stunned targets, Piercing Cold, as it gives ice shards more AoE, and then Prodigy gives you mana regen every time you use any one of your cooldowns, which is basically your entire bar. Now, for defensive aspects, you've got Disobedience, which gives you armor every time you deal damage, Everliving, which gives you damage reduction from anybody who is CC'd or vulnerable, Snow Guard, which reduces your damage taken while in or outside of your blizzard after a couple of seconds, and then Snow Veiled makes your ice armor grant you even more armor in the end. Now, once you've played with this enough and you're starting to farm for your end game uniques, the things that you're going for are Raiment of the Infinite for the teleport, pull, and stun, Tibalt's because it's going to work hand in hand with Metamorphosis to give you a big damage modifier, and then for the boots you can go Esus for the damage or Flicker Step so you can spam your invulnerability alt, and I'll get onto that later, and then the Tal's Ring, which can give you more damage every time you use any kind of element in your build, or the Blue Rose Ring that has a huge boost to your ice spike damage, bonus critical strike damage, and has built-in mana cost reduction, which is one of your most important stats. Speaking of stats, the most important stuff you're looking for on all of your gear is cooldown reduction, mana cost reduction, any kind of damage adds like critical strike chance, critical strike damage, attack speed, damage to vulnerable targets, or even intellect. And then for defensive stats, if you find yourself dying often, look for any damage reduction modifier or plus to maximum health. Now, for the skills on this build, the main thing that we use is Blizzard with the Wizard modifier, which extends the duration if you cast it above 50% mana. In addition to that, we have Frost Nova with the vulnerability modifier, Teleport with its damage reduction, Ice Armor enhanced for mana regen, Flame Shield as probably one of the best oh shit buttons in the game, Deep Freeze for the ultimate, and I was talking about this later, it has huge AoE clear and a long invulnerability window, which means you can get as many blizzards out as you want and then sit in your bubble for a solid couple of seconds. And then for the key passive, we go Avalanche for the free casts and the big damage that it adds. And then you want to enchant Ice Shards for the added AoE, and then Firebolt to add burning damage. This is hugely beneficial as you gain both damage and damage reduction depending on your gear and Paragon from any mobs affected by your burning. Most of the other passives on the skill tree are up to you, but I generally pick things that prevent you from dying as often, like Mana Shield and Protection, for example. As for Paragon, you can of course do whatever the hell you want to do, but the few glyphs that I recommend for this are Destruction, as it gives you more damage, Frostbite gives you more damage and damage reduction, Reinforced gives you damage reduction and boosts the rare nodes around it, Flame Feeder gives you the benefit of more damage to burning targets, which should be everybody, and then Stalagmite is going to boost your ice shards damage from your blizzard and your deep freeze. The playstyle for this one is actually pretty straightforward. You drop a bunch of blizzards above 50% mana and kite everything you possibly can all around them and just basically run in circles until they all die. If you find yourself needing more mana or not wanting to die, that's when you can start weaving in your defensives. But to keep it basic, it's a lot of running in circles and corralling mobs. Objectively, this build is definitely slower than things like Ball Lightning and Arc Lash, especially on bosses, but it doesn't feel useless. It can still do Ubers, it can still be tanky, and it can still AoE clear like a motherfucker. In my opinion, it's super fun, and I'm a huge fan of cold skills in pretty much any game. It really isn't as strong as it once was, but that doesn't make it incapable of having fun or farming pretty much anything in the game. Now, my question is, have you tried the Blizzard Sorcerer in Diablo 4? Do me a favor, and if you enjoyed this content, subscribe, maybe leave a comment, and hit that like button. You can also hang out with me live on Twitch or here on YouTube at least once a week, so make sure you're following over there. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, and if you're bored, YouTube recommends this next one for you. Happy grinding, my friends, and I'll see you on the next one.